People teach you to work hard, but they do not teach you what happens when you get tired. Most people do not fail because they are lazy. They fail because they choose a way of making money that only works while they still have strength. And that is the most dangerous mistake in a person's working life. You can work 12 hours a day. You can try harder than everyone else. But if the moment you slow down for even one day, your income slows down with you, then that is not freedom. That is just prolonged labor disguised as hope. The human body has limits. Sooner or later, your energy will decline, not because you become weaker, but because that is the natural law of life. And when all of your income depends on you being present, being alert, and constantly pushing yourself forward, fatigue does not come only from the body. It comes from a deep fear. If I stop, what will happen? I have met many hardworking people like this. They do not lack effort. They do not lack discipline. What they lack is the right structure. I still remember the early years of my career. I worked a lot, but progressed very slowly. There were times when I asked myself, am I going in the wrong direction? And then I realized something important. A seed does not need to be seen in order to grow. It only needs to be planted in the right place and cared for long enough. True success does not come from pushing yourself harder every day. It comes from building something that does not require you to be strong forever. In today's video, I want to share with you the core principles that help you escape the most dangerous trap of your life, earning money with your strength without building something that can pay you when you are tired. And you should stay until the end of this video, because principle number 7 is the line between those who work their entire lives and those who eventually reach true freedom. Principle 1, the human body has limits. There is a simple truth that very few people want to face. The human body was not designed to run forever. You may be younger today, you may be stronger than yesterday, but you cannot be strong forever. That is not pessimism. That is a law. Many people build their entire lives on a dangerous assumption that they will always have enough energy to continue, that they can push a little more, that if today's not enough, tomorrow they will make up for it. But the body does not operate on belief. It operates on limits. You can ignore those limits for a while. You can override them with willpower. But sooner or later, the body will send you a very clear message: slow down. And when that happens, many people begin to panic because they realize something they had been avoiding. If they are not present, if they are not alert, if they do not keep pushing themselves, everything they have built slows down with them, not because they did something wrong, but because they built on a fragile foundation. I have seen this happen to the hardest working people, those who arrive early and leave late, those who always say yes when others say no. They sacrifice time, energy, even health, hoping that one day that effort will bring freedom. But freedom does not come from doing more today. It comes from not having to do it forever tomorrow. And this is where many people go wrong. They think their problem is that they are not strong enough, not disciplined enough, not hardworking enough. But the real problem is not who they are. It is the structure they rely on. A correct structure accounts for human limits. A wrong structure pretends those limits do not exist. I made a similar mistake. There was a period when I believed that if I just worked more, everything would improve. I believed success was a reward for those who could endure the most. And it is true I progressed, but very slowly. Because I was using strength to fight time instead of building something that could work with time. Life is not against you. Time is not against you. But if you place all of your income on the shoulders of your strength, then you are placing yourself in a battle against two things you cannot defeat. Think about this. If today you are strong, you earn money. If today you are tired, your income drops. If tomorrow you are forced to stop, your income stops as well. That is not a plan. That is a gamble. And no gamble wins long term when it is placed on something guaranteed to weaken. When I realized this, a question began to form in my mind, a simple question that changed how I saw my entire life. Why am I building my income on something I know for certain has limits? That question did not scare me. It woke me up. Because from that moment on, I understood if I want freedom in the future, I cannot continue to rely entirely on strength in the present. And I realized something else as well. People do not need to be taught to work harder. They need to be taught to build smarter. If today you are still trading strength for every dollar, be honest with yourself. Not to blame yourself, but to begin laying the foundation for a different path. Because understanding the limits of the body is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom, and that is only the beginning. Because the next principle will make you reconsider the dangerous relationship between energy and income, the relationship that is quietly deciding whether you will be free or remain bound every single day. Principle 2, income tied to energy is fragile income. There is a connection many people do not realize until it is too late. Your energy determines your income. When you are strong, everything flows. You work faster, you think more clearly, you communicate better, and money comes more easily. But when you are tired, everything begins to change. You slow down, you lose patience, you make less sharp decisions, and income reflects that state perfectly, not because you are incapable, not because you lack ability, but because you are operating within a structure where money always follows energy. Most people do not see this as a problem. They call it normal. They say, everyone gets tired. They say, just push a little more. But that very normal is what makes it dangerous. Because anything that depends directly on your condition will fluctuate with that condition. And no human condition remains stable forever. Look back at a typical day. There are days when you're full of energy. You work continuously. You feel in control. But there are also days when you wake up feeling heavy. Not sick, just drained. And it is on those days that the truth becomes clear. If you do not push things, do not move. I have met many talented people stuck here. They do not lack knowledge. They do not lack skill. But they live in an exhausting loop. High energy, more money, burnout, less money, anxiety, even less energy. That is not a lack of effort. That is a structure that turns effort into a double-edged sword. When your income is tied tightly to energy, you are never truly allowed to rest. Even when you stop, your mind does not. Because you know very well, every hour you are not active is an hour no money is being created, and from there a quiet fear appears. Not the fear of failure, but the fear of slowing down. I lived in that state. There were times I felt guilty just for resting. I felt like I was wasting time if I was not producing immediate value. And then I realized something very important. If your system makes you afraid to rest, it is not a sustainable system. Life was not designed to run at high intensity, day after day. Even the best harvests require time for the soil to rest. When you tie income to energy, you put yourself in conflict with time. Each passing year, you must do more just to stay in the same place. And that is how many people end their careers, not with failure, but with exhaustion. I once believed the solution was better energy management, more sleep, better food, smarter scheduling. All of that matters. But it does not solve the root problem. Because the issue is not how efficiently you use energy. The issue is why your income needs your energy to exist at all. When you begin asking that question, you are stepping off a path most people never leave. Because only when you face the fragile link between energy and income are you ready to look for a different way, and that is where the next principle begins to show its power. Because very few people dare to admit this truth, and it is that avoidance that keeps them trapped in the same loop for years. And if you have ever felt stuck, the next principle is the key to understanding why most people fear facing the truth and why only a few choose a different path. Principle 3, why most people are afraid to admit this truth. There is a very simple reason most people never stop to ask. If tomorrow I am tired, will my income still flow? Not because they are not intelligent, but because the question is deeply uncomfortable. The truth is this: when you have spent many years building a life on strength, admitting that the foundation is fragile means facing the possibility that you may have been going in the wrong direction for a long time. And not everyone is ready for that feeling. Humans have a very natural tendency to defend their past decisions. We call it experience, but often it is just familiarity disguised as wisdom. I have met many people who say, "This way is fine. I have done it like this for years. There is no other option." But behind those words is a quiet fear. If there were another option, why did they not choose it earlier? Admitting the truth requires courage. Because it does not just change how you make money, it changes how you look back at the entire road you have walked. Many people choose the easier path, staying busy. They fill their days with work. They take pride in packed schedules. They call exhaustion a necessary trade-off. But busyness is not progress, and exhaustion is not proof of freedom. I have been there. There were periods when I worked non-stop just to avoid sitting still and thinking. Because serious thinking leads you to questions you are not sure you are ready to answer. One of those questions is, if I stop for a while, what will my life look like? If the answer makes you anxious, the problem is not you. It is the structure you depend on. But instead of changing the structure, most people adjust their emotions. They motivate themselves. They seek more drive. They sleep less and work more, and they call that maturity. But true maturity is not enduring better. It is facing the truth sooner. I once said that life does not improve just because you hope. It improves when you become better. And better here does not mean physically stronger, but mentally clearer. When you are afraid to admit your income is fragile, you are quietly handing control to fear. You let fear decide whether you dare to stop and think. Very few people do the opposite. They dare to slow down to see farther. They dare to ask questions even when the answers are uncomfortable. And that moment marks the difference between two types of people, those who stay busy for life and those who build for life. If today you feel uncomfortable hearing these things, take it as a good sign. The truth is rarely comfortable before it becomes freeing, because only when you admit that the way you are making money makes you dependent can you begin searching for a way that does not depend on your condition. And that is where a new path opens. If what I have shared made you stop and think, press subscribe to continue this journey with me, because the next principles are not just about making money, but about building a life that does not collapse just because you are tired. Principle 4. Assets solve one single problem separating money from human effort. Once you have the courage to admit that your income is fragile, the next question is no longer, am I working hard enough? But is there a way for money to no longer depend entirely on my strength? That is where the concept of assets begins to appear. Many people misunderstand assets. They think assets are something luxurious, a privilege of the wealthy, a final result rather than a starting point. But assets at their deepest core are not meant to be shown off. They exist to solve one very specific problem, separating cash flow from human effort. When you work to earn money, you are trading time and energy for income. There is nothing wrong with that. The mistake only appears when you stop there, because time is finite and energy declines. Assets do not require you to be present every day. They do not need you to wake up feeling motivated. They do not care whether you are happy or tired. They care about only one thing, whether you built the structure correctly. I once thought assets were a reward, that I had to work extremely hard for many years and then one day assets would appear. But that was backward thinking. Assets are not a reward for endurance. They are a tool to end dependence. When you begin building assets, you are making a very important decision not to place your entire future on your physical condition each day. Imagine two people who are equally hardworking. The first works every day and spends all of their income. The next day they start again from zero. The second works as well but dedicates part of their effort to building something that can function when they are not there. At first, the second person moves very slowly. At times they may even look less successful. But over time, the difference becomes clear, not in speed, but in durability. Assets give you a very different feeling, not excitement, but peace of mind. Peace of mind from knowing that if today you are not at your best, your life does not collapse. And I realize something very important. Freedom does not come from making the most money in one day. It comes from not panicking when a day passes more slowly. Many people say they want assets, but when it is time to build, they return to what is familiar, working overtime, taking on more tasks, selling more strength. Not because they are foolish, but because building assets requires a different kind of patience. Patience with slow progress. Patience with not being recognized immediately. Patience with the feeling that you are doing the right thing even when you cannot yet see results. I once made the mistake of misunderstanding the role of assets. For a time, I treated them as a distant goal, and because of that, I delayed building them. But when I began to see assets as the foundation, everything changed. I no longer asked, how can I earn more today? I began asking, will what I am doing today still create value when I stop doing it? That question changes how you make decisions. It slows you down a little, but it also allows you to go much farther. If today you are still using all of your strength just to maintain your current life, understand that this does not make you wrong. It only means you have not yet moved to the next stage, the stage where money begins to work with you instead of against you. Because the purpose of assets is not to allow you to rest immediately. It is to give you options in the future. And once you understand that assets exist to separate money from effort, you will be ready to face an even deeper truth. A truth that many people ignore, yet one that determines their entire journey toward freedom. And it is here that you must clearly distinguish between two concepts that most people mix together every day, earning money and letting money generate itself. Because only when you understand the difference will you truly step into a completely different level. Principle 5. Earning money is not the same as letting money generate itself. There are two very different ways money appears in your life. One requires your presence. The other continues even when you are not there. The problem is, most people spend their entire lives on the first way and never truly step into the second. When you earn money, you trade effort for results. You finish the work, you get paid. You stop, the cash flow stops as well. This way is familiar, easy to understand. And for many early years of life, it is the only way most of us know. But familiarity has a very high cost. It makes you believe that is all that exists. Letting money generate itself is different. Money does not ask whether you feel well today. It does not need you to show up on time. It does not care about your mood. It reflects only one thing, what you built in the past. When I was younger, I thought that if I just worked hard enough, freedom would eventually arrive as a reward, but I was wrong. Hard work only helps you earn a living better. It does not automatically create freedom. Freedom begins to appear when your efforts are no longer trapped inside a single workday. Think about this. If every dollar you earn requires a new action, then you are locked into the present. You are not building tomorrow. You are only repeating today. I have met many people who are extremely busy. They always have work to do, always have reasons to delay. But when you ask them, if you stop for 6 months, what happens? The answer is often silence. Because deep down they know everything they have requires them to keep running. Self-generating money does not make you rich immediately. But it does something more important. It buys you time. And time is an asset that earned money can never buy. When you begin letting money generate itself, you no longer live entirely in the present. You begin planting seeds for the future. At first, this feels strange. You do a lot, but do not see immediate results. You build, but no one applauds. This is the stage where many people quit. Not because they lack ability, but because they are used to being paid immediately. Self-generating money requires a different kind of belief. Not blind faith, but faith in time and structure. I once made the mistake of returning to earning money whenever progress felt too slow. It gave me short-term security, but it also kept me stuck. And I realized whenever you prioritize immediate safety, you are trading away long-term freedom. Earning money makes you feel useful every day, but letting money generate itself gives you choice every day. A very different choice. You work because you want to, not because you are afraid of losing everything if you stop. If today you are still working very hard, ask yourself honestly, will what I am doing continue to create value when I am no longer directly involved? If the answer is no, that is not a condemnation. It is a signal that you are ready to move into the next stage of your life. Because understanding the difference between earning money and letting money generate itself does not discourage you. It wakes you up. And once you are awake, you will begin to feel something very subtle yet extremely important. Letting money generate itself does not only change your income, it changes your mental state. And it is here that you will understand why assets do not only create money, but also bring a sense of peace that no salary can ever give you. Principle 6, why assets bring a deeper sense of peace. There is something very interesting I have realized after many years of observing people. Very few people are truly seeking money. What they are seeking is peace of mind. Money is only the means. Peace is the destination. But the problem is this: not all money brings peace, and not all income allows you to sleep well at night. There are people who earn a lot of money, yet their minds are constantly tense. Because deep inside, they know that their cash flow depends entirely on their condition. If they are strong, everything is fine. If they are tired, everything shakes. That is not peace. That is prolonged vigilance. Assets are different. Assets do not excite you every day. They do not create an instant sense of victory, but they bring something very rare: stability in the mind. When you know that there are cash flows that do not require your presence, do not require persuasion, do not require you to try harder than today, you begin to breathe differently. You no longer wake up with the feeling that you must immediately start running. And that is a very deep change. I once thought peace came from the number in my account, that as long as it was large enough, all worries would disappear. But I was wrong. Numbers can fall, markets can change, clients can disappear. But a good structure will always find a way to adjust itself. When you have assets, you do not place all of your peace on a single workday. You do not need to win today in order not to lose tomorrow. And that is exactly what makes your mind lighter. Assets bring peace because they do not react to your emotions. You can be sad, you can be tired, you can be far from your best, and assets still do their job. And I realized something very important. True peace does not come from controlling everything. It comes from no longer needing to control everything. Many people live in a constant state of watching, watching the market, watching clients, watching themselves so they are never allowed to slow down. But when you have assets, you can allow yourself to slow down a little without fearing collapse. That is the difference between living defensively and living proactively. I have met people who do not have much money yet feel more peaceful than those who earn a great deal because they know that each month something is still being built even when they are not pushing. Assets do not remove all risk, but they remove the constant fear that if you get tired for even a moment, everything will be lost. And that fear is what exhausts people the most. When you are no longer afraid of resting, you begin to think more clearly. When you think more clearly, you make better decisions. And that is the positive loop that assets create. If today you are living in a constantly tense state, ask yourself, what in my life depends too much on my emotional state each day? That question does not demand an immediate answer. It only asks you to begin realizing that peace is not a random feeling. It is the result of structure, and once you understand why assets bring deeper peace, you will be ready to face the next truth, a truth that many people do not want to hear. Because if assets bring peace, then the biggest reason many people never build assets does not lie in money. It lies in how they view time and patience. Principle 7, assets as the reward of long-term thinking. There is a very big difference between people who achieve freedom and those who only dream about it. It is not intelligence. It is not starting circumstances. It is how they view time. I have always seen assets not as a path to quick wealth, but as the natural reward of long-term thinking. I understood one thing very clearly. Life always pays according to time, not according to emotion. Most people want fast results. They want to see money quickly. They want to feel like they are on the right path. But long-term thinking requires something completely different, doing the right thing, even when there is no evidence yet that it will bring results soon. This is where many people give up, not because they are incapable, but because they cannot endure the silent phase. The phase where you plant seeds but do not see sprouts yet. The phase where you build but no one recognizes it. The phase where your effort does not bring immediate rewards. I understood that if you cannot endure this phase, you will remain stuck forever in short-term results. Long-term thinking does not make you rich immediately, but it makes it so you do not have to start over every time life changes. I used to think I needed motivation to persist, but then I realized motivation is extremely fragile. Today you may be full of energy, tomorrow you may be doubtful. If all your decisions are based on emotion, you will always fluctuate. Long-term thinking is different. It does not ask how you feel today. It asks, will this still be right after 5 years? When you start asking that question, you automatically eliminate many attractive choices that are not sustainable. I did not build assets with excitement. I built them with repeated discipline. Not big steps, but small decisions, maintained long enough. I understood that time does not work for everyone. It only works for those who do not quit halfway. Many people underestimate small progress each day. They want a breakthrough. But life rarely rewards leaps, it rewards accumulation. When you live with long-term thinking, you no longer ask, am I moving fast? You ask, am I moving in the right direction? And this is a very big shift. Because moving fast in the wrong direction only takes you farther away from where you need to be. I have seen many people miss big opportunities simply because they were not patient enough to wait for assets to show their power. They build a little, they see no results, then they return to the old path, the path that demands strength every day. But assets do not respond to impatience. They only respond to persistence. I once said, success is not what you do in 1 year. It is what you do not quit for 10 years. And that is why I see assets as a reward. Not a reward for the smartest person, not a reward for the fastest person, but for the one who stays long enough. If today you feel that you are moving too slowly, ask yourself, am I comparing my long-term progress to other people's short-term results? That comparison will always discourage you. Long-term thinking does not excite you every day, but it gives you something more valuable, the certainty that you are going in the right direction. And when you have that certainty, you are not easily shaken, because you understand that assets are not built by luck, they are built by correct decisions repeated long enough. And that is the line between those who must work their entire lives and those who eventually achieve freedom. But even when you understand long-term thinking, there is still one final trap that causes many people to stumble, because wanting assets has never been the hardest part. The hardest part is enduring their slowness. Principle 8, the beginner's mistake, wanting assets, but not patience. There is a very common paradox that I have seen repeat for many years. Many people say they want freedom, but they cannot endure the path that leads to freedom. They want assets, but they do not want the time that assets require. Assets are not against you. They simply do not cater to your impatience. Beginners often enter this journey with a very dangerous expectation that if they do things right, results will come quickly. When results do not come as expected, they begin to doubt. When doubt appears, they begin looking for another path. And at that moment, they return to the most familiar thing, trading strength for money. Not because the old path is better, but because it gives immediate rewards. I have seen this happen many times. Someone starts building. They do things correctly. They persist for a few months. Then they look around and see others making money faster with effort. And they ask themselves, what am I doing? That comparison is poison to long-term thinking. Because you are comparing a process of accumulation with an instant result. Assets do not give early rewards to keep you staying. They give late rewards to test whether you are truly serious. If rewards came too quickly, people would never learn discipline. And without discipline, there is no sustainable freedom. Beginners often make another mistake. They misjudge progress. They ask, how much money have I made, instead of asking, what have I built? Money is the result. Structure is the foundation. You may not see money yet, but you are building something that will still be there next month, next year. If you quit early, you do not just lose time. You lose the greatest advantage that assets bring, compounding. I made this mistake myself. There were times when I thought I was moving too slowly. And each time I was tempted to return to the old path, the path that gave me immediate safety. But every time I did that, I had to start over from zero. And then I realized it was not that I lacked ability. I lacked patience with what was right. Patience is not passive waiting. It is continuing to do the right thing, even when there is no evidence yet that it is working. Very few people can endure this, because the world always rewards speed, but life rewards endurance. Beginners often quit right before the process gains momentum. They do not know that assets are like a flywheel. At first you push very hard, you see no movement, but when the flywheel spins enough, it starts running on its own. And if you let go too early, all previous effort becomes meaningless. Assets do not need you to be smarter, they need you to stay longer. If today you feel discouraged, ask yourself one very direct question: am I lacking knowledge, or am I simply lacking patience? That answer will determine where you stand on this journey. Because many people do not fail because they chose the wrong path. They fail because they leave the right path too early. If you are at a stage where everything feels slow, remember that is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign that you are in the right place, that very few people are willing to stay. And when you are patient enough to stay, you will realize a very simple but powerful truth. Assets do not need your excitement. They only need your discipline. Principle 9. Assets do not need your excitement. They only need your discipline. There is a very simple truth that is most misunderstood. Assets are not built by emotion. They do not need you to be highly motivated every morning. They do not need you to fully believe in yourself at all times. And they certainly do not need you to stay excited. The only thing assets need is discipline. Most people overestimate the role of emotion. They wait until they feel motivated to start. They wait until they feel ready to continue. But life does not pay for emotion. It pays for small actions repeated long enough. Discipline is not flashy. It does not bring instant victory, but it has a power. Emotion will never have reliability. When you rely on emotion, your life rises and falls with it. When you rely on discipline, your life begins to stabilize. Assets operate in a very cold way. They do not care whether you feel inspired today. They only reflect whether you did the right thing when no one was watching. Many people say they want freedom, but they cannot endure the small, repetitive, unrecognized actions that freedom requires. They want the result of discipline, but not the process of discipline. I made this mistake myself. There were periods when I only performed well when my emotions were high. When my emotions dropped, everything stalled. And then I realized if my assets depended on my emotions, they were no different from income tied to strength. Discipline allows you to move forward even when you are uncertain, even when you are tired, even when you do not see results. This is where many people quit, not because they are not smart enough, but because they cannot endure consistency. Consistency does not create exciting stories, but it creates results. I once said we often underestimate small daily actions and overestimate rare big moves. Assets are not built by occasional great decisions. They are built by correct decisions repeated. When you understand this, you stop waiting for the right emotion. You start building in silence. You do what needs to be done, even when no one applauds. And that is what frees you from the pressure of always having to be in the right state. You do not need to be strong every day. You only need to be consistent in thinking, consistent in action, consistent in not breaking small commitments to yourself. If today you are tired, remember, assets do not need you to push beyond your limits. They only need you not to quit, not through one big effort, but by returning to the small, correct actions you chose from the beginning. And that is how the circle closes. You begin by recognizing the limits of the body. You understand the fragility of income tied to energy. You dare to admit the truth. You build the right structure. You distinguish earning money from letting money generate itself. You find peace of mind. You accept long-term thinking. You overcome impatience. And finally, you stand firm through discipline. Because when discipline is there, assets will continue to work even when you are tired. We have gone together through a very long journey in this video. Not to learn how to make money faster, but to re-examine how we are building our lives. You have seen that the human body has limits, that income tied to energy is fragile, that many people are afraid to admit that truth because they do not yet have another structure to replace it. You have also understood why assets exist, not to show off, but to separate money from strength. Why earning money is completely different from letting money generate itself. And why assets bring a sense of peace that no salary can ever give you. I see assets as the reward of long-term thinking, not because it is easy, but because it is right. And you have clearly seen what causes most people to fail, not a lack of intelligence, but a lack of patience with what is right and a lack of discipline with small daily actions. True freedom does not come when you become stronger. It comes when your money no longer depends on whether you are strong or not. When you can be tired for a day and life does not collapse, when you can slow down and the future does not disappear, that is when you know you are on the right path. If there's one thing I want you to remember after this video, it is this. You and I both have one gift today, not to spend entirely with strength, but to use it more wisely. If this video truly made you think, press like to support the channel and subscribe to continue this journey with me where we do not chase motivation but build freedom through discipline. I truly want to hear from you. Are you working for money or are you building something that will create money for you? Leave a comment below. And remember this, success is not a destination, it is a journey you commit to every day. I truly appreciate that you stayed until the end of this video.